Good morning, students. Good morning to all. On last day, we have studied about the theories of interest. So today also, just we will remind what we have studied on last day, and we will go to the new concepts. So last day we have studied some of the theories of interest. So every theory is also explaining the different concept about the interest. So first one we have studied the abstinence theory of interest. So on the basis of abstinence theory, so the interest is going to the persons, those who abstinence their current consumptions and waiting for their savings. Because if we want to make the more capital, we have to savings the little amount. And before that, we have to abstinence and we have to sacrifice them some of the current consumptions. And not only that, the interest is the reward for abstaining from the immediate consumption of wealth. And it is possible to save only if one abstains from present consumptions. If you want to save more money, we have to sacrifice some of the present consumption and the propensity to consume. Those who want to ready to sacrifice their more consumptions, and instead of that, if they are saving more amount only, they will can able to get more capital. And like that, if they are making some of the amount as a capital only, the entrepreneur or some of the other persons are able to take as a capital. So now the persons, those who ready to sacrifice their current consumptions, for them we have to give some of the reward. That reward only is considered as a interest. But in the same time, the saving implies waiting. So interest is the reward for waiting for their little amount of savings became as a big capitals. So normally we have to wait some of the days or some particular time to become as a capital. Next, time preference theory. So according to this theory, the people prefer present goods rather than future goods. So because the present goods are more certain than the future goods, no one will wait for their future goods. So normally all the peoples will have the interest to consuming the present commodity only. So when people save, they have to postpone their present enjoyment or satisfactions. But some of the people only will have the interest to saving the money without having the interest of consuming their commodities. So this premium is interest. People prefer present consumption than future consumption due to the risk increasing and uncertainty of the present world. And we have studied some of the loanable fund theories also. So on the basis of loanable fund theory, the rate of interest will be determining on the basis of demand and supply of the loanable funds. According to the loanable fund theory, the rate of interest will be determined on the basis of demand and on the basis of the equilibrium between the demand and for the supply of loanable fund theory. So here the demand for the loanable funds also will be depending upon the demand for investment, demand for consumption, demand for hoarding. And all the like that the supply of loanable fund also will be depending upon the savings and bank rate and discoding and disinvestment. Okay, but here where and when the equilibrium point is meet between the demand for and the supply of loanable funds. will determine the interest rate. Okay students, then today we will go to the next one of the reward, profit. So who will get the profit? The organizations or the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur also have to get some of the reward for the purpose of conducting the business organizations or taking some of the efforts. So the entrepreneurs coordinates all the other three factors: land, labor, and capital of the productions. So entrepreneur also has to get the right to get the reward for the services in the form of profit. So entrepreneur are the one of the organizations. Those who conduct the organizations is considered as a entrepreneur. So he also have the rights to get the reward in the form of profit. So profit is a return to the entrepreneur for the use of his entrepreneurial ability. Profit is a return to the entrepreneur for the use of his entrepreneurial ability. It is the net income of the organizers. So normally the organizers also have to distribute some of the reward for other three factors: for land, labor, and capital. The land will get the rent, labor will get the wages, and the capital will get the interest. So after providing these distributions, after distribute the all other three factors only, the entrepreneurs can able to get their own reward. This own reward only is considered or called as a profit. So in other words, the profit is the amount left with the entrepreneur after he has payment made for all other factors used by him in the production process. However, the three other versions also. If the entrepreneurs, after providing the reward for all other three factors, if he has some possibilities only, he will get the profit. The profit also will get from different types or in different forms. So the kinds of profits also are there. So the three kinds of profits are available in these business organizations. First one is monopoly profit. The monopoly profit is the profit earned by the firm because of its monopoly control. So normally already we have studied some of the monopolist. Monopoly means the only one seller will be there. He only has the power to fixing the price of their commodities. Okay. So but when the situation is being like that, the monopolist or all the monopolists will definitely get the profit as much as they earned from the commodities. So even when we are comparing to the cost of productions, the profit will be more to the monopolist. So by the monopoly control, if the entrepreneur or if the producers are having some of the profit, that is considered as a monopoly profit. Next, windfall profit. Sometimes the profit arises due to changes in the price level. Profit is due to unforeseen factors. So suddenly on the basis of the demand, high demand, the price automatically will be increased without having any, without taking any of the effort by the producers or the entrepreneur. Suppose the produced commodities may be protected in this warehousing, and whenever the demand is going to increase, on the basis of increasing the demand for the commodities, the automatically the price level will be increased. So the price or some of the profit is due to unforeseen factors. If the producers or the entrepreneurs are gaining some of the profit, that is considered as a windfall profit. Next, functional reward profit. Just like rent, wage, and interest, profit is earned by the entrepreneur for his entrepreneurial functions. So normally how the entrepreneurs are going to earning the profit is considered as a functional profit. And the functions of the entrepreneur or on the basis of the ability of the entrepreneur, if they are getting the profit, that is considered as a functional reward profit. Next, the theories of profit. So for explaining the profit, some of the theories are there. So by explaining these theories, we can consider about the profit. So here the four type of the theories are there. First one is dynamic theory of profit, innovation theory of profit, risk bearing theory of profit, and uncertainty bearing of profit. First we will study about the dynamic theory of profit. This dynamic theory was proposed by the American economist J.P. Clark in 19,000. So according to him, the profit is the difference between price and the cost of production of the commodity. The price and the cost of productions of the commodities. Whenever or there is more difference between the price and the cost of productions, one of the entrepreneur can be able to get more profit. So normally the monopoly we have studied, monopoly profit. The monopolist only will have the power and the more possible to earning the profit. So hence the profit is the reward for the dynamic changes in the society. If any of the societies has the changes, the dynamic changes, on the basis of the dynamic changes, only the entrepreneurs are having the possibilities to earning the profit. Further, he points out that the profit cannot arise in the static societies. If any of the societies are being as a static means without having any of the changes. Without having any of the changes, if one of the societies are being as the same in long time, so the entrepreneur will never get any of the profit. Because the changes in the consumption and preference and the technical know-how, so such as things are going to changes only the entrepreneur can have the power or the possibilities to get the profit. So static society is one where everything is stationary or stagnant and there is no change at all. Therefore, there is no role for an entrepreneur in a static societies. So normally what type of the product is going to produce for the peoples and the static societies? It will never change. So there is no need to taking the more effort or any effort by the entrepreneur. So the price of the commodities in a static societies would be equal to their cost of productions. So there would be no profit for the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur only gets wages for management and interest on his capital. If the societies are having the dynamic changes, only the entrepreneur will have the chance to earning more profit. Because whenever the peoples in these dynamic societies also will be changes in their consumption process. At present, several changes are taking place in a dynamic societies. So changes are permanent. So changes are permanent because so always the peoples can have the interested to consuming the different type of the commodities and they will be attracted from the advertisement and some of the factors by for some of the factors they will get more interested to want the new type of the commodities. So according to Clark, some of the five main changes are taking place in a dynamic societies. So population is increasing in a dynamic changes in a dynamic societies. If you are taking the dynamic societies always have the increased populations. If the population is increased, what will happen? So the entrepreneur have to increasing the supply of their commodities. and they have to produce the different type of the commodities. So from this way, the entrepreneur can have the possibilities to earning the profit. Next, volume of capital is increase. The capital also will be increased when they want to produce more. So on the basis of capital formations, he can have the power to earning the more profits. Next, method of productions are improving. So methods of productions means whenever the population increase or the capital formations also increasing, so he can adapt it to implementing the new technical method to produce the process. Next, forms of industrial organizations are changing. So wherever the market is going to extend, he can able to extend, and the forms of industrials also will be changed. So because of that, the more employment opportunity will be created for the industrializations. Next, the wants of consumers are multiplying. So normally the peoples in the dynamic changes, their wants of consumers are multiplying. So if the multiply wants are there, only is enough, the entrepreneur can have the more power. So according to the clerk, so on the basis of the dynamic changes of the societies, or if the societies has the dynamic changes in a short period or the long period only, the entrepreneur have the power to earning the profit. Next, innovation theory of profit. So innovation theory of profit was propounded by Joseph A. Schumpeter. According to the Schumpeter, an entrepreneur is not only an undertaker of a business, but also an innovator in the process of production. So normally the entrepreneurs simply they will not undertaking their business organizations. He has to take or he has to bring in the new innovations on their production process or in their produced commodities. So according to the Schumpeter, the profit is the reward for the innovations of the entrepreneur. So innovations means the inventions put into commercial practice. Some of the innovations and some of the thoughts. According to the Schumpeter, and innovations may consist of some of the categories. So the introduction of a new product. The entrepreneur must bring the new product, must introduce the new product in their market. So every year or every month and in particular time, in course of time, if a good entrepreneur are introducing the new product in the market, so the producer or the public will have the power or will have the interest to consuming that commodities. And at that time, if the producers can have the more chance to fixing the price for their own commodities, and because of that, he can able to earning more profit. Next, introduction of a new method of productions. So normally, if the entrepreneur are having or taking the same method, same production method, so the wages, the laborers will get the tired and will neglect their duty. So if they are bringing the new method in productions, so he can able to increasing the supply of commodities. So because of that, he can able to get more profit. Next, opening up of a new market. As a good entrepreneur, have to opening a new number of market. Next, discovery of a new raw materials. So by using the high cost raw material, if they are producing any of the commodities, he will not get more profit. So he has to introduce the substitute raw material or the new raw material for their production process. And reorganization of their industries. So as a good entrepreneur have to take the effort to reorganizing of their industries or firm. When any one of these innovations is introduced by the entrepreneur, it leads to reduction in the cost of production and thereby brings profit to an entrepreneur. To obtain profit continuously, the innovator needs to innovate continuously. The real innovators do so. Imitative entrepreneurs cannot innovate. So, on the basis of the innovations of entrepreneur only, the entrepreneur can get the chance to earning the more profit. Next, risk bearing theory of profit. So, risk bearing theory of profit was propounded by the American economist Hawley in 1907. So, according to him, profit is the reward for risk taking in their business. So, risk taking is an essential function of the entrepreneur and is the basis of profit. Normally, all the entrepreneur can have the power, and it's one of the objective and one of the functions of the entrepreneur is taking the risk. So, it is a well known fact that every business involves some risks. So, even if the entrepreneur are not able to taking the effort to bearing the risk, the business organizations has some of the risk. Since the entrepreneur undertaking the risk, he receives profit. If the entrepreneur does not receive the reward, he will not be prepared to undertake the risk. So, which are the entrepreneur? Those who will ready to taking the risk, he will have the more chance to earning the profit. Because we will never know about the futures when we are going to get the profit or not. But even though when the entrepreneurs are preparing to innovate or expand their market, are taking some of the effort to extend the market of their commodities, some of the risk will be there. But even as bravely if the entrepreneurs are taking the risk bearing capacities, he will must get the profit. So according to the Hawley, on the basis of the capacity, risk bearing capacity of the entrepreneur only, he can able to get the profit. So every entrepreneur produces the goods in anticipation of demand. If his anticipation of demand is correct, then there will be profit. And if it is incorrect, there will be loss. But we will never know about the demand, the time of demand arising. But if the good entrepreneur have to the power to predict about the future demand of any of the commodities. So it is the profit that induces the entrepreneurs to undertake such risk. So even though by having some of the risk bearing capacity of the entrepreneurs, he will get the profit. Next, uncertainty business theory of profit. So uncertainty theory was propounded by the American economist K. Knight. So according to him, profit is the reward for the uncertainty bearings. This distinguishes between insurable risk and non-insurable risk. So even the risk are having the choices between the insurables and non-insurables. So certain risks are measurable or calculable. Some of the examples of these risks are the risk of fire, theft, and natural disaster. So when we are producing any of the commodities in this business organization or in this production unit, some of the risk may be erased, such as a fire accident and theft of commodities and some of the natural disaster. Hence, they are insurables. Suppose when we are taking the insurance policies on their commodities, so this type of the risk also can have the power to insurable. So we can claim some of the losses. Some of the risks are compensated by the insurance companies. But in the same time, some of the risks are not compensated by the insurance companies. If it is loss, the entrepreneurs have to get loss. So there are some of the risks which are immeasurable or incalculable. The probability of their occurrence cannot be anticipated because of the presence of uncertainty is there. Some of the example of these risks are competitions, market conditions, technology changes, and public policies. So suddenly some of the technology is changed to produce, the entrepreneur will get the losses. But we will never know about the changes of the technologies, because whenever the technology is going to increase, so every year or every month the technology is increasing. Yes, the public policies that suddenly the political situation is changed. The politicians are going to change the policies also. So some of the policies will helpful to the entrepreneurs, and some of the other policies will never helpful to the entrepreneurs. So this type of the risks are insurable, non-insurable. So no insurance company can undertake this type of the risks. Hence, they are non-insurable. The term risks cover the first types of event measurables and the term uncertainty. So according to the Knight, profit does not arise on the account of risk taking, because the entrepreneur can guard himself against a risk by taking a suitable insurance policies. But uncertain events cannot be guarded against that way. When an entrepreneur takes himself the burden of facing an uncertain event, he secures remunerations. That remunerations only is considered as a profit. Suppose if the entrepreneurs are having the guard himself to protecting from the uncertainty, bearing risks, he can able to get the power or the chance to getting the profit. So if a entrepreneur can have the power to bearing the uncertainty risks himself, he will get the possible to make the profit. Okay student, so the four theories are there to explaining the profit. When you read on the book itself, you have understand. So if you have any doubt, please ask me, and just take these theories of profit as your study portions. Thank you.